At 11:59 p.m., I was offered a deal: survive for 24 hours and earn $100,000 every single hour. The only catch? If I die, they keep my body. I thought it was a joke. I had just come back from a double shift at the warehouse, sweaty, hungry, and too tired to think. My phone rang from an unknown number. Normally, I'd ignore it, but something made me pick it up. "Would you like to make $2.4 million in one day?" the voice said. I almost laughed. "Sure," I said sarcastically. "Do I have to sell my soul?" The voice didn't laugh. "Only your time. 24 hours of your time." That's when they sent the address. Some fancy building in the middle of downtown. I don't know why I went. Maybe I was desperate. Maybe I was just curious. I took a bus. 2 stops. Walked past a closed Starbucks and 2 homeless guys fighting over a cart. And then I saw it. The glass building with no name on it. Just a black door. And a security camera blinking red. I walked in. A man in a gray suit was waiting behind a desk. He handed me a folder. "In here," he said, "is your contract." The folder felt too cold in my hands. The paper inside was thin but sturdy. There was only one paragraph, typed in bold. "You agree to participate in the 24-hour survival contract. You must remain alive for 24 hours. You will be hunted. You cannot leave the city. Payment will be issued every hour you survive. Quitting is not allowed. Death results in contract termination." Below it, there was a place to sign. And next to that, a fingerprint scanner. I looked up at the man. "Is this a game?" He smiled. "Do you want the money or not?" I signed. I pressed my thumb on the scanner. A red light blinked. Then green. Then something in my chest tightened. "You're in," he said. "The hunt begins in 1 hour. Good luck." Then he gave me a black smartwatch and a backpack. The watch started ticking. 59 minutes and 58 seconds. I stepped outside. The streets felt colder now. And emptier. The first hour passed with nothing. I sat in a diner, ordered coffee, and tried to calm down. Maybe it was just a psychological experiment. Then at 1:03 a.m., the first one came. A man in a hoodie walked straight into the diner, pulled out a knife, and stared directly at me. Nobody else moved. Nobody screamed. It was like I was the only target. I jumped over the counter, ran out the back door, and didn't stop running until my legs gave out. At 2 a.m., my watch buzzed. $100,000 deposited. I almost cried. But I couldn't stop. They knew where I was. 2:13 a.m. I ducked into an alley, tried to catch my breath. Then I opened the backpack. Inside, a burner phone, a flashlight, energy bars, water, and a map. A red dot blinked on the map. Me. Blue dots, them. There were 3. Moving fast. Closing in. I ran again. 3:00 a.m. I broke into an abandoned store, hid in a freezer. The walls were metal. The signal inside was blocked. I stayed there for an hour. Buzz. $100,000. Asterisk asterisk. 4:00 a.m. 6:00 a.m. I moved constantly. Stayed in crowds. Pretended to be drunk, homeless, lost, anything that made me invisible. But they were always behind me. And not just people in hoodies anymore. A woman in a white coat tried to inject me with something on a train. The kid, maybe 14, followed me with a crowbar. An old man pushed me in front of a bus. 6:12 a.m. I was bleeding. My leg was bruised. My shirt ripped. I made it to an old parking garage and hid under a car. The watch buzzed again. Another $100,000. But then I heard it, footsteps. Not walking. Stalking. Slow. Careful. Calculated. I held my breath. The feet stopped inches from my face. Then, silence. And then a voice. "You're doing well, player 43. It was the man from the office. His face appeared upside down as he crouched. "You've made it 6 hours. Not bad." I wanted to scream. But I was too tired. "You've got 18 more, he said. "Let's see if you make it to the end." He left. Just like that. 7:00 a.m., 12:00 p.m. Things got worse. They started using drones. There were cameras in trash bins, taxis, even bathroom stalls. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. My body was shutting down. Every time the watch buzzed, it felt like a countdown. I passed people on the street, and everyone looked suspicious. Who were the hunters? Who were just civilians? I stopped trusting anyone. 12:45 p.m. I climbed to the roof of an old apartment building and screamed. No one looked up. No one cared. I wasn't just being hunted. I was alone in a city that didn't see me anymore. The money kept coming. $100,000. $100,000. $100,000. But I couldn't take it out. Couldn't use it. Couldn't stop. Just keep surviving. 1 p.m. I had made it halfway. 12 hours. 12 payments. $1.2 million. And I was barely alive. I hadn't slept. My legs trembled every time I tried to walk. The adrenaline had worn off, and now all I had was fear. I knew the next half would be worse. 1:15 p.m. I found a shelter, an abandoned warehouse behind the train station. It had one entrance, thick metal doors, and no windows. I pushed debris in front of the door and crawled behind a stack of broken crates. I set a timer on the smartwatch, 20 minutes. Sleep came like a switch. Then I woke up to static. Not from the watch, from the burner phone in the backpack. It had turned on by itself. On the screen, Player 43, do not trust the man in gray. My heart froze. Then the message disappeared. Another message replaced it. New challenge unlocked. Survival bonus. $500,000. A map appeared. A blinking red square across the city. Bonus challenge? More money? More danger? I didn't know. But I was desperate. 2:30 p.m. I reached the location. It was a shopping mall, long abandoned, its windows shattered, escalators dead. Everything inside was covered in graffiti and rot. As I stepped in, the doors slammed behind me. Then the lights flickered on. And a voice boomed through speakers. Welcome to Stage 2. There were 10 mannequins scattered around the food court. One of them moved. It turned its head toward me. Then sprinted. It wasn't a mannequin. It was a man, in full black bodysuit, painted like plastic. I ran. More of them moved. I climbed up an escalator, kicked one in the face, then jumped down a floor to escape. One broke its leg chasing me, and kept crawling with a twisted limb. This wasn't a game anymore. 3:15 p.m. I barely made it out. I had to shatter a window with a fire extinguisher and leap 2 stories onto a trash container. My back screamed in pain. But the watch buzzed. Bonus achieved. $500,000. I threw up in the alley from stress. But I was alive. 4:00 p.m. 6:00 p.m. The streets weren't safe anymore. The hunters were everywhere. Not in uniforms. Not in masks. They looked like normal people now. A barista who offered me a free coffee. A police officer who told me to come with him for protection. A teenager crying for help who pulled a knife the second I bent over. I stopped helping. I stopped trusting. I stopped speaking. Every hour buzzed with more money. Every hour buzzed with more death. 6:30 p.m. I found a church. The doors were open, candles still burning inside. For a moment I felt safe. There was an old priest at the altar. He looked tired. "You're the one in the game," he said quietly. I didn't answer. He nodded. "They came for me once too. I signed it. Back in 1997. I stared at him. "You survived." He smiled. "No. But I woke up." Before I could ask what he meant, he pointed to a side room. "Sleep. You have 1 hour. No one will find you here." I didn't question it. I collapsed on the dusty floor behind the altar and closed my eyes. For the first time I dreamed. Not of money. Not of death. But of waking up in a real bed with no fear. 7:45 p.m. I woke up to gunfire. The church was burning. I ran outside as masked men threw Molotovs through the windows. One turned toward me and paused. He lowered his weapon, then pointed behind me. A drone hovered above my head. A red laser danced on my shoulder. Then, silence. The drone exploded in a flash of blue light. Someone had shot it down. I turned. The priest stood on the roof, holding a long-range rifle. He nodded once, then vanished into the flames. I never saw him again. 8:00 p.m., 10:00 p.m. My limbs stopped responding normally. I had to drag my leg behind me, maybe a torn ligament. My vision blurred every time I turned my head. Still, the money kept coming. Still, the hunters didn't stop. I crossed bridges, climbed rooftops, swam through sewers. One woman chased me on a motorcycle across a subway track. I jumped between moving trains. Her body didn't. And still, I wasn't free. 10:25 p.m. The burner phone buzzed. A new message. Player 43, you are the last one left. My mouth went dry. The last one? There were others? No. I was the only survivor? The phone buzzed again. The final stage begins. 10:45 p.m. The city went dark. All power. Gone. No lights. No sound. Then I saw the spotlight. A single white beam in the middle of a football stadium. It blinked. The watch vibrated violently. Go to the light. I didn't want to, but I did. 11:30 p.m. I walked into the stadium. It was empty, silent. Then the loudspeaker clicked on. Congratulations, player 43. I stood in the center of the field. Alone. You have survived 23 hours. The voice paused. One more challenge. One more hour. One final price. Then a gate opened. A metal door, rising from the grass. And out came an exact copy of me. Same clothes. Same face. Same injuries. He smiled. Then charged. 11:45 p.m. We fought. Fist to fist. Bone to bone. I don't know how long it lasted. But I won. Barely. The other me collapsed. And didn't get up. I stood over the body, shaking, bleeding, crying. The loudspeaker buzzed one last time. Challenge complete. Payment processed. Then silence. Then a helicopter. 11:59 p.m. I was lifted from the stadium by a black chopper. They didn't speak. They just handed me a phone. On the screen, my bank account. $3,000,000.00. I had made it through 23 hours. 23 payments. $2.3 million. And I was barely breathing. Every bone in my body hurt. Every shadow looked like death. My skin felt like it wasn't mine anymore. It was stretched too tight over something hollow. I hadn't eaten. I hadn't slept. I had bled. I had cried. I had screamed. But the finish line was 1 hour away. 1:03 a.m. I limped through the alley, gripping the metal pipe I'd found earlier. It was sticky with blood, not mine. At least I hoped not. Every few steps, I looked behind me. I knew they were coming. Not the monsters. Not the drones. The other contestants. People like me. Except they had snapped. Somewhere between hour 15 and 20, something inside them broke. And now they weren't surviving anymore. They were hunting. 1:11 a.m. The city was silent in the worst way. Not peaceful. Not empty. But waiting. Like the air itself was holding its breath. I passed a billboard that flashed red for a second. Final hour bonus. Plus $1,000,000 survival rush. 10 participants remain. There had been 100 at the start. 1:20 a.m. I found a working street camera and looked straight into it. Is this enough? I whispered. Is this what you wanted to see? The red light blinked once. Acknowledgement. I hated that more than anything. 1:23 a.m. Something exploded in the distance. A building. I saw fire rising like a mushroom cloud. The sound came seconds later, deep and long, like the growl of something ancient. I ducked behind a burned-out taxi and waited. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Fast. Heavy. Baref. Slapping against concrete. Getting louder. I held my breath. And then I saw him. A man, shirtless, smeared in ash and blood, eyes wide with something that wasn't quite madness. He ran right past me, screaming, "It's not worth it." He disappeared into the darkness. Seconds later, a drone flew overhead. It didn't follow him. It hovered over me, and then blinked green. Still in the game. 1:30 a.m. Half an hour left. I found a stairwell leading underground. Subway tunnels. Most were sealed off. But this one was cracked open, like something had burst out. I climbed down. Inside it was cooler. Moldy. Safer? Because that's when I heard the breathing. Not mine. Something deep in the tunnel. Raspy. Wet. Alive. And huge. 1:34 a.m. I turned around. Too late. A shape rushed at me, low to the ground, fast and wrong. Like a person walking backward on all fours. Its eyes glowed orange. Its hands were long, fingers like needles. Its jaw clicked open sideways. I ran. 1:38 a.m. I didn't look back. I ran through dark tunnels, tripping over old tracks, ducking under pipes. I could hear it behind me. Sniffing. Clicking. Scraping. Then I saw light ahead. A maintenance hatch. I climbed. The creature screamed behind me. A horrible, screeching wail that made my ears ring. But I didn't stop. 1:41 a.m. Back on the street. The rain had started again. Cold, heavy, relentless. But it felt like a blessing. I turned a corner and froze. 3 people stood in a circle. 2 were fighting. Fists, knives, screaming. The third? Watching. Smiling. When he saw me, he pointed. 9 left, he shouted. Then lunged at me. 1:44 a.m. I didn't want to kill him. But I had to. I swung the pipe. He dropped. The others ran. I stood there, heaving, shaking, pipe red and slick. And then I vomited. 1:50 a.m. 10 minutes. I climbed to the roof of an office building. It gave me a view of the city. Flames. Screams. Silence. It was beautiful. And it was hell. 1:55 a.m. The last 5 minutes. I lay flat on the rooftop, watching the sky change. There were drones above, circling. I knew they were counting down. I knew the whole world was watching. What would I do? Cry? Laugh? I didn't know. I just waited. 2 a.m. A loud chime echoed through the city. Then silence. Then a voice. Congratulations. 24 hours complete. $2.4 million has been transferred. Please remain where you are. Extraction inbound. I didn't move. I just stared at the sky. And finally, I cried.